appreciate you coming out. And hopefully I can share some stuff that will be of value to you. I just going to share a little bit about myself, the company I work for, a couple of my past projects, and then what I've done recently, and kind of how interpersonal skills and stuff played into all that. And hopefully my video is lagging a little bit, so hopefully you're hearing my audio okay. Is that coming through all right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, good. So I got a short deck for you. If you have any questions along the way, you can just drop them in the chat. I'll try and, if it's something pertinent, I'll try and answer it along the way, but I got a little Q&A session at the end, so if you have any questions. Let me see if I can master the technology and share this. All right, can you guys all see the screen there?
Yep, you're good, Roland.
Thumbs up. All right, good deal. So basically, personal relationships for technical occupations. Technical people don't necessarily always think of relationships as the first thing. Let me see if I can. Where are we going? There we go. Okay. So real quick agenda. We'll walk through here. Like, who the heck am I? Who's this Roland Hall guy, and why is he talking to me on my computer? Kind of what my career path was. Like how did I get here? Kind of my personal journey. I promise I won't spend a bunch of time on that, so I won't bore you to death. We'll do a quick history of Syniverse. Nashana said I had to. She made me do it. So anyway, and then I'll talk about recently, just starting about 2 years ago, I actually formed a new team. So what's kind of interesting about this is we've reorged several times from the top down. Some CIO, CTO, VP somewhere has said, hey, this is our new organization, this is our structure. And it's never really stuck. And about 2 years ago, I kind of saw a need for this. And we formed this from the bottom up. So I'll talk about how we did that and how relationships came into play. And then I'll talk a little bit about what I do, like on a daily, weekly basis in the workplace. And then kind of some fun stuff Syniverse is working on. We're really cool. We're a pretty cool tech company that you've never heard of, but you use us every day. I use that line all the time. I will do some questions and answers. That sound fair to everybody? Thumbs up? Yeah, okay. All right, so who am I? So I'm the senior manager for the platform engineering team. I give you our mission statement. Our mission is to adopt and drive technology across multiple products and lines of business while reducing costs and driving innovation and providing competitive advantage. That's for the C-levels. C-levels, they like that verbiage. So, but basically, we're really a small team. We're actually a team of only 8 core individuals that I work with on a regular basis. I handpicked them. I didn't get them all at once. I got 2 to start with, and then I've slowly been acquiring them as we go. But as a cross-functional team, I really consider the team 40 plus. And the reason I do that is the team really isn't defined by the org structure anymore. The team is really the people that I work with on a day and night basis, week after week, to get things done. And so I really think of them as the team, and I really don't think of myself as the manager of the team. I'm one of the team members. My role is the manager, but together we're a team. So I really strive to drive a consensus and get people to contribute and buy in and drive solutions, not just me. I'm not matter of fact, I try to get myself out of the way as much as possible. Some of the past things I've done, I worked on a product you may or may not have used in your life called Kodak Picture Center. It was Kodak's first online, or I should say successful online albuming site. So we took them from basically the photo stock days. They had like maybe 120 Qualix labs around the United States and Canada. And we helped digitize the process of all that and put it in an online album. And we ran that business for 5 years, and I was in charge of designing the infrastructure under that piece. And then we did kind of a similar online picture album. Now, these were all back in 1999 to 2000 somewhere. So camera phones had just kind of come out. So Sprint had their first camera phone, and they didn't know what to do with the photos. So we created an online album for them. And for about 6 or 7 years, we had every photo ever uploaded by a Sprint camera phone. So that was kind of fun. And this all landed in a little data center in Sunnyvale. And they came in, believe it or not, it would come in on tape, not over the wire back then. So, and then when I worked for VeriSign, we created because we did Sprint Picture Mail, we also did that for Verizon, and then we did it for some smaller carriers. And then they wanted to send pictures to each other. So what we ended up doing is we actually got involved in the intercarrier MMS spec, so multimedia messaging, and we started sending between carriers. And I designed the platform for that, and that platform I think went live in 2004, and it is still running today. It is scaled. If you send a picture or any kind of rich media content, excluding like iMessage or something like that, it literally goes through Syniverse. So it would come to us, go through the IMS carrier platform, and head back out. So from Sprint to Verizon, or Verizon to T-Mobile, that kind of stuff. And then I've been acquired a few times, so I've done quite a few large-scale data center migrations. So, any questions there? No. Okay. Good. So let me talk a little bit personal about me. Oh, actually, you missed the long hair. That is my real hair, by the way. If you look at that, that was my mom had cancer at one point. She's fully recovered, but I was growing up for locks of love, and took that picture at the Wax Museum in Vegas there. And then the one on top there, I'm not naturally a talkative person. I was actually grew up quite shy, but that was me giving a technology presentation on, I think it was like parallel processing for data analytics or something, to a room full of genealogists. They were decoding the human genome at the time. You probably can't see it, but I was sweating to death underneath that shirt. Not from heat, from fear. But anyway, a little bit more about me, just real quick. Always been interested, always been kind of a geek, interested in technology. Always taking my toys apart before I played with them. Used to drive my mom crazy. She's German. You just don't do that in Germany. But I was always kind of shy. I had a couple, one or two good friends, but I was never really social. And even like going through college, I did everything I could to avoid any public speaking. Like if you had asked me back then that I would do a presentation like this, I would have said, no way, not doing it. I would do extra credit. I would do anything I could to get out of doing a presentation. And I think the one or two professors that actually roped me into it, I still think my grip is in the podium. Like I just grabbed it and crushed the edges. Coming out of school, I got a first job at a fairly large semiconductor company in the early 90s, Watkins Johnson. There's about 45 people on the IT staff. When I left there 7 years later, there was 3 of us running the whole company. So I got to learn all kinds of stuff early on. And then I went to a startup and went the other way. So LightSurf was started by Philippe Kahn. He did one of the first camera phones. And we never actually sold the camera phone. We actually sold the sales to, which was the photo album. We sold that to Kodak and then Sprint. And then this might throw you here. Amway came in the middle of all that. So I had probably been working IT for about 10 years. I got a couple small promotions, but I never quite was in the inner circle or making things happen. And I just kind of got passed by on a lot of stuff. And I could never figure out why, because I worked hard. I did all my projects. I did them really well. I did them on time. And then my ex-wife decided she was going to join Amway. The online version was Quickstar. Long story short, we had a couple meetings, and they're like, okay, now you have to go do a meeting in front of all these people. And I was like, no way. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. My buddy Scott's going to do it. I'm not going to do it. And long story short is I ended up doing the meeting. I thought I was going to black out. I ran and hid in my office, and it was all done, and people signed up. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And so I did a few more of these, and Amway had a really good training program. So I ended up just starting to talk to people and really liking to talk to people. And my boss at the time was like, "What are you doing? Something's different about you. You've changed. You something's different." And of course, I didn't tell him that I was moonlighting at night trying to do Amway. We actually eventually signed up like 500 people and did fairly well. And then we got acquired by VeriSign, got to work on some few things, and then got acquired by Syniverse. So if you add up all my seniority, probably been, I think I just hit my 20-year mark. So starting with LightSurf, and so probably almost 30 years in the industry. So enough about me. Let's talk about me. What do you think about me? That's a joke. All right. Quick background on Syniverse. We call ourselves, this is out of Crunchbase, we call ourselves most connected company in the world. Basically, there's a spiel of British Technology Islands and this, that. I think the key thing here is we are connected to more than 1,000 operators, cellular phone companies around the world, and 500 other enterprises in 200 countries. We're a huge global company that you've never heard of because we provide all the services to Sprint, Verizon, AT&T, and so on. So your service is dependent on us. You just never heard of us. We'll skate over that real quick, and then is it coming? Oh, security must be scanning my laptop. Hang on. It is slow. Let's see if that picks up. Can you guys still hear me okay? Good thumbs up. All right. It's just taking a second. All right, it's going. There we go. All right, so let's see. We go. All right, real quick. We started back in 1987 as part of GTE. We got bought by Verizon in 2000. And you can see we've scaled up across the globe in a pretty short period of time. Become a global company. So I came into Syniverse in 2009 as part of the VeriSign acquisition. And then in 2011, we got bought by the Carlyle Group, which is a huge private equity firm that grows companies, and we've been growing pretty rapidly ever since. All right, that's enough of the marketing slide. So let me talk to you about the recent platform engineering team. So I had been doing data center migrations, and I went back to the architecture team, and I'd been there for about a year, and I started to notice that there were some gaps in what we were doing in the company. And I think I mentioned earlier, there have been several reorgs and different ways to try to deal with some of these issues. But as a member of the architecture team, I was trying to figure out what I could do to help with this thing, right? And to give you a little background, here's what, because we specialize in telecommunications technologies, we have over 200 products, and many of them are very unique. So in the old days, a product or maybe in a line of business would come up with an idea, they'd research it, they'd do some estimates, they'd find a customer, and they'd put it in the data center. So we probably, if there's something made at some point, we probably have it. There were multiple standards. There was all different kinds of work silos with people doing redundant effort. There was no kind of overall view of what was happening operationally across the company. Any one product could tell you exactly what their product was doing, but there's kind of no overview. Sometimes there was no clear line of responsibility. We'd kind of pass around back and forth. no overall planning, performance benchmark, that kind of stuff. So identified some of these things. So what I started doing is I started talking to people about this. And so this is kind of where the personal skill stuff comes in is I can't impress upon you enough the importance of just picking up the phone. Text is good, email is okay, but there's a real value in picking up the phone. I see a lot of people coming into the workforce are maybe even afraid of the telephone. So anyway, I started picking up the phone, and I started coming up with some things I thought needed to be done. And I actually left. This is actually the original slide from like 2.5 years ago. So it didn't have to be complicated. I basically put some ideas down in bullet points. I'm not going to go over all these, but after talking to a few people, I kind of started documenting a little bit, and then what I did is so these were the steps I took after I documented these. So write your idea down. It can be super simple, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a fancy slide deck. It doesn't have to be anything, but you need to write it down. It does something in your brain. It helps you start focusing on things. And it lets people know you're serious if you write something down. So I wrote all these things down, and I said, hey, we need to create a team that's going to work on these things. And I came up, hey, it's going to be called the Platform Engineering Team. And we're going to fix these problems. And I created a charter. And then I started talking to people, mostly one-on-one. I would say, hey, you know what? Hey, Steve in security, I really respect you. Hey, I've got an idea. Can I run something by you? Do you have 5 minutes of your time? And I would share that one slide with them, real quick bullet points, get their feedback. And usually I would get their support. They're like, hey, this is a great idea. We need this kind of stuff. So, and that went on. When they gave feedback, I listened. And I listened, even if I didn't like what they were saying, listen. And then I took that feedback and I incorporated it. And then I set a few goals and started out talking. Once I kind of had the whole general thing, I put a few more slides together. Set a goal, like here's what we're going to do. We're going to own all the equipment. And they're basically the solution to all those problems you saw. And I just started sharing it with everybody I could. Anytime there was a meeting, anytime something ended early, I'd say, hey, do you guys have 5 minutes? I want to share something with you. One of my professors in school used to tell me all the time, like, you should always have a slide deck ready. And I was like, at the time, I had no idea what he meant. And now almost 30 years later, I get it now. Hopefully you guys aren't as slow learner as I am. But basically, anytime I could, I started sharing this idea. And what ended up happening is I finally got enough momentum across different teams, different people, that I got a meeting with the CTO, and they said, yeah, this is a good idea. Let's do this. And so it came into process, right? So once it came in, we set some goals. And then the other thing, like I say, I share ownership. Like I said, I'm a member of the team. My role is manager. I'm not the manager of the team. There's a difference there. When I do my meetings are all open. So when I do a meeting, if you have something, come to the meeting. We handle all kind of the short-term agenda first, and then the second half would be like, hey, this is day-to-day business. If you want to stay, great. If not, hop out. But what that does is it lets people buy in. So because they have ownership, they're vested in your success. And when you have multiple organizations across a global infrastructure in different time zones and different languages, it's very, very important that they feel that they have an ownership of that with you. I can't stress that piece enough. Define your processes. Just like the goals, some people overdo this. It doesn't have to be complicated. It could be, you could draw it on the wall and take a picture. And then find your gate. I call them gates. You could call them controls. And so I'll give you, there we go. I'll give you a quick example. We had no equipment standards in our company. So People were buying whatever they wanted, and nobody seemed to be able to stop it. So I went to finance and I said, "How do you guys review purchase requests?" They said, "Oh, there's a committee that meets every Tuesday." I said, "Would you mind if I joined that committee?" And they're like, "Oh no, we would love to have some technical feedback." So bam, all of a sudden I had a gate or a control with which to rein in some of these wild purchases. Now, I started easy. It starts with communication, notifying people, hey, there's some standards. Here's what they are. If you don't think you can use these, please see me. But eventually we started doing this, and once we started kind of aggregating our purchases, we were able to go to our vendors and negotiate, because we weren't buying one here and two there. We're buying 10 at a time. And so find those small wins. Like that was did it again. Find those small wins, and celebrate them. And one of the things you'll have to do is you have to be your own cheerleader. So technology folks, especially, we think just doing a good job is enough. The problem is when everything's working right, nobody knows you're there. It's only when things break, at least in the IT world, only when things break that people realize you're there. So be your own cheerleader. When you have a win, celebrate it. Let your boss know. Let his boss know. And especially if you're saving the company money, that's always a good win. And I never say, hey, look what I did. It's always give credit. It's always the team or somebody on another team. I always, if people will know your part in it. You don't have to have pom-poms for yourself. You can do that part. And then communicate frequently. I typically, if you looked at my statistics, I probably make anywhere from 150 to 200 phone calls a week. Not all internal. A lot of those are external, but that's kind of really important. Any questions? Go on to the next slide. All right. All right. So I call it some tips for personal relationships, or maybe how I became a networker. And I kind of use that term from the Amway days, but it really is just networking and connecting people and ideas together. But a couple books that were really influential on me, I want to share with you guys. Simon Sinek, if you've ever heard him, he's got some great stuff out there. He's got a good book. And then, believe it or not, this book is old, but it's still relevant. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I think both of those are probably in my top 10. I learned to develop a genuine interest in people. And I use the Christmas present analogy. When I was just focused on my engineering work, I really didn't even know the people around me. And I found that I like learning who people are. I kind of think of them as Christmas presents, right? You kind of take the bow off, you take the wrapping paper off, and you find out, like, hey, George just lived in Aurora. He's been there his whole life, and he loves Colorado, right? So you learn a little something about someone. And for some reason, I remember that. George, I'll probably forget your name, but I will remember that little tidbit about you when I see your face 10 years from now. I don't know why it sticks for me. I'm horrible with names. It's something I constantly work on. But I like to find a connection with people. When I was starting out, I came up with this little acronym called a form. Like, I needed a form for people because I was an engineer and I didn't know how to interface with people without a form. I guess kind of weird thing. But to me, I'm transparent if you haven't figured that out yet. But it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and money. So, meet somebody, it would be like, hey, hey, are you from around here? What do you do for a living? Oh, that must be great. What do you do when you're not working? Oh, do you have any family around? Just ways for me to help start a conversation, and keep things going. Some of the stuff I did to practice that, and I've been on conference calls since about 4 a.m. this morning. My voice is starting to give out. some of the things I did to practice that is literally I say hello to everybody. Right. Shauna knows probably like so I live in California. Our office is in Tampa. I go back there and I go out of my way to go find people that I haven't met yet. I go run by, say hi to them. And you'll find like, I really found, I enjoy that, but I'll do it in the grocery store. I'll do it in the bank. Lines are great. If I'm in a line, I'll just turn right around and say, hey, how you doing? You come to this bank often? You know, something silly, or find something I like about them. Hey, those are great shoes, or, you know, weather. I don't know. Just to get comfortable talking to people that I don't want to say don't matter, but they're not around your career, right? You can just come in and have a conversation and learn to do that kind of stuff. I always try to learn a couple personal facts. And it's not a formula. It's just it's an interest. What's inside the Christmas present? What happens when I take the wrapper off? Sometimes it's a shiny new bike, and sometimes it's a pair of used socks. But at least you found out what was inside the present. And like I'll do it at the gas station, street corner. I'll just literally talk. And what I found is I've met some really cool people. I have some relationships today that I consider very dear from people I met on a whim just because I was out there. And what I find is that when I start talking to people, eventually, if I'm open and honest and they feel that trust, sometimes I'm able to help them by either connecting them to somebody else or giving them some advice or doing something. And so I always enjoy talking to people. You never know who it's going to be. And then one other thing, I did this for my nephew. My nephew's a computer science major at Sacramento State. And he changed majors a couple times. He'd been there a while. And he was getting frustrated. And I told him he's really into Raspberry Pis and home automation and stuff. I said, go down to the local hack, not the hack store, what do they call it? Anyway, it's the local where they all get together. I said, do a couple trainings, start getting comfortable in front of people. And he did that for about a year. And then he got interviewed by Capital One, and they picked him up. Now, I don't know if it was a direct relation, but by the time he talked to them, he was very comfortable demonstrating his knowledge of things. And he's got a job out in Virginia right now by the Capital One campus, and running a team of people, and he's doing quite well. Pretty proud of him. Action steps that I do. I make phone calls kind of every day. If I have a meeting that finishes 15 minutes early, I kind of run down my list of things that are going on, like stuff that I might just want to confirm with people, or somebody I haven't reached out to in a while, and just call them up. And I usually, just to be respectful, I use this line all the time, and I find it, man, I'm just like flying around here. Whoa. Okay, there we go. So this line I use this all the time. Hey, did I catch you at a good time? I mean, everybody's busy, and I just think that's really respectful. And you don't want to try and have a conversation with somebody that's busy or focused on something else. So I really like, first thing I did, hey, how you doing? Hey, did I catch you at a good time? And then the next thing I'll do is just say, let them know how long I want to talk. Right? Hey, I like what you said. Hey, do you have 5 minutes? I really liked what you said in the meeting the other day. And I want to talk to you a little more about what you're trying to do, or how we can work together on that, or something. And then when possible, try to meet face to face. If you go to a conference, you should have an agenda of the classes you want to take, or the lectures you're interested in. But you should also have a list of people that you would like to have a one-on-one conversation with. Who do you want to meet up with while you're there? And maybe even some goals. Who would you like to meet that you haven't met yet while you're there? And really take that time. You might have 2 or 3 days where they're away from work, and you can get a hold of people that you might not otherwise get a hold of. And I'll typically reach out to VPs, CTOs, CEOs. If I know they're going to be there, I'll go track them down. And your vendors are usually good for that. They'll know where the executives on in your business or in other businesses are. You can use that to track your job. And then lastly, really just have fun with it. You're out meeting people. Don't take it too take your job serious, but don't take yourself too serious. You're just a human being. Have fun. Go out there and make things work. And it's kind of a journey. It's something I'm always working on. And then I'm gonna leave you with one last little thing here before we go to Q&A. Syniverse, because of our position in the world, we're working on some really cool technologies. I get so excited. So we have a whole innovation lab where we're actually partnering with people to test out new concepts and new ideas. And you can see some secure drone airspace management, cellular and non-cellular IoT, autonomous vehicle communications, right? So your car will know about an accident 10 miles up the road before traffic ever slows down, before it hits the news. 5G stuff, mobile edge computing, blockchain. Blockchain is really big. We actually have, so we do, one of our big products is clearing and settlement. So when you're roaming, your Sprint phone might be on a T-Mobile network, or your T-Mobile phone might be on a Verizon network, and they all have agreements with each other and how much time they spend. And we take that and we tally all that up and settle it on a global basis. And we're working with IBM right now to put that all on the blockchain and not only speed things up, but lock that down in a historic reference for future purposes. So pretty cool. I don't know, Shauna, any of these you want to jump in on?
I mean, you did a really good job. Thank you, Roland.
All right. You guys have, so here's Shauna, I put your contact information up there too. Just
all good.
I thought I'm going to post it on the internet next, just in case.
I mean, there are easier ways to find out my contact information.
So, I would love to hear from you guys if you try any of the stuff that I have in here. George, I'll send you a copy of the deck afterwards. If you try anything or any experience or any questions you have, feel free to email me. I love helping people out and doing that kind of stuff. Anything you guys want to ask me a little more on? Not that I'm a moron, but I mean, more on a subject. All right. Well, thank you again for coming out. Wish you guys well. Stay safe out there. And like I say, feel free to reach out anytime. And when you get ready, Syniverse is a great place to work. I live in California, but before the coronavirus, I used to get to go visit the corporate campus about every 2 months. So that's really nice in the wintertime. When you're just about sick of the cold and the snow, you go there and it's like 78 degrees.
No, we're like a balmy 85.
About 85.
Every day, all year. Florida,
Yeah,
Tampa,
I always thought if you were a weatherman, like Tampa would be the best place to be a weatherman. It's like what's the weather? 82 and sunny until 1 o'clock, and then there's a slight thunderstorm, clearing with sunny skies in the evening. It's like regular every day.
No, I mean, does anyone have any questions on what Roland presented? Anything in terms of the organization? I can talk a little bit on our internship program if that's something you guys are interested in hearing about, but really the floor is completely yours.
Yeah, could you tell us a little bit about that internship programs?
Sure, yeah, not a problem. So our internship program is pretty cool. We offer a summer internship program right now that runs between May and August. We recruit for that program late August to early September of the year before. So we're about to bring in our slate of interns. They start on May 18th this year. But we'll be looking for our summer of 2021 interns starting in late August, early September of this year. But it's a really cool program. We bring about between 8 to 10 interns together from across a variety of disciplines within the organization. We have a lot of people that focus within technology just because for a while we are a technology company. A lot of the things that we're building from a skill set perspective are focused around our technological innovations. But we also offer other opportunities like in marketing and your other kind of corporate functions. So our interns come down to Tampa. You do have to relocate to for the summer. Interns vary, the length of time varies between about 12 to 14 weeks, just depending upon the calendar year and how it falls. All of our interns have the opportunity to work on a strategic project. So we take your skills into consideration and look at what kind of projects do we have that we want to move the dial on here at Syniverse. And you get full ownership of that project throughout the summer. You have the opportunity to talk to various stakeholders, build those personal relationships like Roland gave you all those tips for today, and really own your project in terms of building something new, making a recommendation, testing platforms, a variety of opportunities. And then at the end of the summer, we actually bring everyone together and you have the opportunity to present your findings and present your project work to members of our leadership team. So not only do you get the opportunity to work in your discipline, but you also have the opportunity to gain more exposure to the C-suite level, which isn't very common in a lot of different internship opportunities. And we like to have fun throughout the summer as well. So we plan fun intern events. You get to participate in our EA events. We just have a really good time. Like I think last summer we took all of our interns to the Jonas Brothers concert when they were in town as a way to hang out and just reward them for all their hard work. So we're planning something equally cool this summer, and we'll plan something equally as awesome the following summer after. But it's just a fun way to really start to get involved and apply what you're learning. I actually started with Syniverse about almost 3 years ago as an intern, and now I run our internship program. So I love opportunities like this. It gives me a chance to give back. But it's really cool. We have a lot of fun at Syniverse.
Oh, one thing, can I add one thing, Michelle?
Sure, go ahead.
One of the things I like about Syniverse is we're a global company, but we're not too large.
Yeah.
I've seen large companies and you get stuck in a little box and you have a job or two that you do, and we're really at a size where you can really kind of chart, if you're interested in something, that you can really chart a course and go pursue that. That's one, because I'm not a square box person. I always color outside the lines. So I fit in really well at Syniverse, and if you enjoy following different pursuits and having some freedom to pursue different interests, Syniverse is a really great place to work.
Yeah. And I just want to add one more thing. Is that Carlos, the one with the grocery store background on your video? I love that. I've been meaning to say, I wanted to say that when you first joined, random, just side thought, but I love your background.
Thank you. My name's Sam.
Samuel, sorry. See, I couldn't see your name on the way mine was set up. I am so sorry about that, Samuel.
It's all good. I had to pick up some toilet paper, so. No, but I actually had a question, but I'd like to thank both of you for your time. I had a question regarding electrical engineers and what roles they play within Syniverse.
No, good question. Roland, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, so I work mostly on the IT and infrastructure side. So I don't know if we have anything going on in the innovation labs, but as compute moves more towards the edge and IoT, we are definitely going to be getting into that space if we haven't already. So what I would tell you is is talk to Nishana. If you're interested in coming, apply, and there's probably a place for you. Because we're like I say, we're covering 200 products that are diverse in so many places, and the IoT stuff on the edge doing compute is going to be a big deal in the next few years.
Thank you.
So I had a question related around connectivity. So I just was wondering if you have any tips when it comes to connecting virtually. Like, are there any factors that come into account when you're trying to connect with someone virtually through like a Zoom meeting that don't come into play when you're face to face?
Yeah, don't do this. don't have a fancy background that doesn't work. No, seriously. I'll turn that off. It's probably distracting. Virtual's pretty good. If you're gonna do this, you guys, most of you, it seems like you already have a video camera. You got a good sound setup. You've got a quiet place to work. Those are, I think, to me, those are really the key things. A lot of people will join Zoom meetings and they won't turn their video on, and I think they're just missing out because there's a lot of interaction that you can wave your hands around if you see me do it. You'd think I was Italian, but I'm not. But you just get a perspective that you don't get. So I would definitely say, high quality video if you can, better than mine, and have a nice quiet place where you can work and hear well. And you guys have grown. I mean, video conferences kind of wasn't around when I started, but the other thing is having a personal phone call is almost, to me, is almost just as good. Really just being, it's about the communication, reaching out and identifying with someone.
No, and you make a good
Thank
point,
you.
Roland. Just in terms of the more you can kind of try to simulate your environment into a way that like that person is in front of you, like they would normally be in a regular face-to-face, one-to-one conversation, the better off you're going to be. So trying to minimize those distractions with, either you can be on a video call like this and you're like, oh, let me check my email. It's very easy to get sidetracked when you're on a Zoom or a video call like this. So the more that you can kind of frame your reference into like, okay, let me pretend that this person is really sitting in front of me. Like how would I show up? How are my mannerisms? And as Roland stated, there's something to be said about just being on video and seeing people like talk with their hands like I do. There's actually a lot of research behind it that says, we pick up a lot of our social cues and a lot of our conversational cues visually. And so when you kind of lose that aspect of it, you could lose almost, I'm trying to remember the exact statistics. I want to say it's like 45% of like the meaning, or no, sorry, it's more than that. It's like 55% of the meaning behind what someone's trying to convey to you if you don't have some sort of visual representation to go along with it. So the more you can kind of simulate it to where you're actually having that face-to-face conversation with someone, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, I'd say be present and be engaged.
TED Talks are also an amazing thing, and I swear this is my last point, and then I'm going to be quiet. One of the things I love to do is go on TED.com and just kind of hear from other specialists on just a variety of subjects that interest me. But there's a really good one called 10 Ways to Have a Better Conversation by, what's her name? Celeste Headley, if I believe I pronounced that last name correctly. And she just gives you some really good tips and tricks on how to have a genuine conversation with people. And one of those things, like Roland mentioned in his presentation around, you know, he has the form, the family, occupation, recreation, and money questions to like, okay, this is a good way for me to like introduce myself, get that conversation starting. One of the points she makes in that video is if you go into every single conversation that you have with someone thinking, okay, they know something that I don't, and there's something interesting about them that I don't know. And this is the conversation that I'm going to discover what that is. Doesn't matter who you're talking to. You always find different and unique perspectives where you will never know where that conversation could lead you. It could lead you to a job like months down the road. And it all just started with you taking a genuine interest in someone else and striking up that conversation. But I highly recommend you go out and watch this TED Talk because I've seen it like 10 times now. And that's like my go-to thing. If I don't feel like I'm communicating effectively and getting my point across, I'm like, okay, well, what could I be doing differently? Is there something I could be doing better? And that's one of my go-to videos for. So it's 10 ways to have a better conversation.
Yeah, that's what I call the Christmas present, right? You meet someone and it's like what's inside of there? Like
exactly. Yeah.
And it's a true interest. Like you develop that after a while.
Yep.
And then you find out it was weird because I never liked people. Then I found out I actually like people. There were some interesting people out there.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Well, I hope that was helpful. And like I say, you know, I'll send you the deck if you want, and then feel free to reach out. If you guys have any questions, want to share any experiences, anything, happy to participate in future conversation.
Yeah, and find me on LinkedIn as well. Love to connect with all of you. And I'm here to help any way, shape, or form that I can. I know that George and I, for at least his continuing reign of being the president of your society, will stay in contact. But I'll definitely try to keep you guys updated on when our internships post and when they become available. And then if you're interested in anything, just reach out to me, let me know, and we can have a conversation. Or if you find a job on our website that you're interested in, chances are I know the person that has either opened the position, I know the hiring manager, I know someone in the organization that we can have a conversation with if you are further interested in something. So just stay in contact, guys.
And I would encourage you take her up on that. The more conversations you can engage with people, the more relaxed and confident you will be when you actually go in for an interview and that kind of stuff. I told you about my nephew. He went to several interviews and was like, I just don't interview well. And I'm like, okay, well, just go do 10 more next week and then come back to me. And he's like, I don't interview well. I go, you're not done yet. Do 10 more. And we did this for about 2 months. And after 2 months, he finally got to a point where he was so over going to interviews that he actually relaxed and became himself. And he got hired the next week. So I can't stress enough. Go talk to people. Get used to the point where it doesn't matter anymore what their title is, or you just can sit face to face and have a conversation. And then you can really sell you always kind of have a sales hat on, right? You're selling yourself that you're smart, you can do the job, and people want to work with you. Right? Those are literally kind of the three things. And I've met smart people, but they can't do it. They can't do anything. They're just smart. And so you need to get something done, and you don't want to work with somebody you don't like. So I focus on those three things.
Yeah.
Hey, I came in a little late, but just like a logistical question did anyone record this so that we can send it to our members?
Jordan, you were in charge. You were the host.
Wait, did you say if we recorded it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's recorded.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. There you go.
Oh,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Great.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for allowing us to be a part of your meeting today.
Yep.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But I just want to say thanks.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
y'all.
for having us. I enjoyed the
Great.
conversation. And like I said, reach out and good luck to all you.
Thank you all.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye now.